July 24, 1943. Pacific Ocean, 300 miles southeast of Truk Atoll. Lieutenant Commander Dan Daspit is seconds away from making the most terrifying discovery of his naval career, but he doesn't know it yet. Through the periscope of USS Tenosa, he observes the perfect prize, a colossal 90-250-ton Japanese tanker, completely immobilized after 2 direct hits to its engine room, a defenseless target, a guaranteed execution, the promotion he's always dreamed of. Fire 1. The Mark 14 torpedo slices through the crystal blue water like a deadly blade. The white wake draws a fatal line toward the enemy hull. Daspit holds his breath. His crew holds their breath. Impact. The unmistakable sound of steel piercing steel reverberates through the submarine's walls. And then, silence. Deadly silence. No explosion, no column of water, no sign of destruction, just the sound of waves and the racing hearts of 80 men. Fire 2. Perfect hit, flawless trajectory. And again, nothing. What Daspit hasn't realized yet is that he's about to waste 13 more torpedoes on this motionless giant. What he can't imagine is that his own weapons hide a lethal defect that has already cost the lives of hundreds of American submariners across the Pacific. And what he could never suspect is that at this very moment, 5,000 miles away in Pearl Harbor, an unnamed machinist is about to commit an act the United States Navy considers treason, an illegal act that will save thousands of American lives and change the fate of World War II forever. But first, more torpedoes will fail, and when the truth comes out, it will shake the foundations of the most powerful naval force in the world. By day's end, the statistics are damning. 15 Mark 114 torpedoes fired, 13 direct hits, only 2 explosions. The most advanced torpedo in the world has just achieved an 87% failure rate against a stationary target. The Mark 114 enters combat in December 1941 with an 80% failure rate. Of the first 97 torpedoes fired by American submarines, only 3 enemy ships are sunk. In 2 years of Pacific War, American submarines fire over 800 torpedoes. 640 fail to explode. Japanese merchant ships continue sailing unmolested, while American submariners risk their lives for nothing. The Imperial Japanese Navy dismisses American submarine attacks as nuisance raids. Of the 53 U.S. submarines lost in World War II, 20 are sunk before October 1943, many after failed attacks that should have been decisive victories. American boys are dying because their primary weapons don't work. What these submariners don't know is that salvation lies in the skilled hands of a machinist whose name history has forgotten, but whose illegal innovation will turn the tide of the Pacific War. The Mark 114 torpedo represents the pinnacle of 1920s naval technology. And therein lies the problem. Designed by the Navy's Bureau of Ordnance starting in 1926, this 21 FTA's 30,000 lb Marvel costs $10,000 each, 5 times the price of a new automobile. Its revolutionary feature is the Mark 6 exploder. Equipped with magnetic influence and contact detonation systems, the magnetic component should detonate beneath enemy hulls, breaking their keels. It's so secret that no maintenance manual is ever distributed. Here's the fatal mistake. The Bureau of Ordnance conducts exactly 1 test in May 1926. 2 torpedoes are fired at a derelict submarine. 1 fails completely, the second explodes. With a 50% success rate, the Bureau declares the weapon ready for service. No further testing is conducted. The U.S. submarine force goes to war with a weapon that has never been properly tested. Problems manifest immediately. December 14, 1941, 1 week after Pearl Harbor, USS Seawolf fires 8 torpedoes at a Japanese freighter. 7 miss. The 8th hits squarely and fails to explode. Similar reports flood in from across the Pacific. Torpedoes run too deep, passing beneath targets. Others detonate prematurely. Most frustrating are the duds, torpedoes that strike perfectly but fail to explode. The Navy's response: blame the submarine commanders. Admiral Robert English, Commander Submarines Pacific, consistently sides with the Bureau of Ordnance, accusing his own skippers of lack of initiative. The Bureau maintains nothing is wrong with their torpedoes. The problem lies with inadequate training. This creates a deadly feedback loop. Submarine commanders know their weapons are defective, but are forbidden from modifying them. Meanwhile, Japanese convoys continue crossing the Pacific unmolested. USS Wahoo fires 4 torpedoes at a Japanese destroyer from point-blank range. All 4 hit. None explode. Commander Dudley Morton tells his crew, "We might as well throw rocks at them." Even when Admiral Charles Lockwood conducts unofficial tests in June 1942, proving torpedoes run 105 ft deeper than set, the Bureau dismisses his findings. By mid-1942, over 800 torpedoes have been used in the Pacific War. 80% have failed. Expert consensus from Navy brass remains unchanged. The torpedoes are perfect. The crews are incompetent. The stakes couldn't be higher. Every failed attack allows Japanese reinforcements to reach critical battlefields. Every enemy ship that escapes carries resources that will kill more Americans. The most infuriating aspect isn't the technical problems. It's the institutional arrogance that refuses to acknowledge them. One submarine commander writes, "We're fighting 2 enemies out here, the Japanese and our own Bureau of Ordnance. At least the Japanese are trying to kill us." Honestly, the torpedo crisis represents more than technical failure. It's a strategic disaster threatening the entire Pacific campaign. American submarines, the most advanced underwater weapons in the world, have been neutered by bureaucratic incompetence and a refusal to admit error. Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard, September 1943. The submarine tender's machine shop hums with desperate activity as damaged torpedoes return from failed patrols. Among the lathes and drill presses works a man whose name appears on no official records. A civilian machinist hired after Pearl Harbor to support the submarine fleet. No fancy Naval Academy diploma hangs on his workshop wall. No engineering degree validates his expertise. He possesses something more valioso, the practical knowledge of a craftsman who understands how things really work. His callous hands have shaped metal for 3 decades. He learned his trade in Depression-era machine shops where precision meant survival, where 1/1000th of an inch could mean the difference between employment and starvation. While Naval Academy graduates studied theoretical engineering, he mastered the practical art of making things work. The machinist watches as another batch of Mark 14 torpedoes returns from patrol, their warheads intact despite multiple hits on enemy targets. He listens as Torpedo Shop Chief William Thompson briefs the crew on Admiral Lockwood's latest directive. Somehow they must make these weapons reliable. The official Navy position remains unchanged. Nothing is wrong with the torpedoes. Any modifications beyond routine maintenance are strictly forbidden. The Bureau of Ordnance has painted the screws holding exploder mechanisms, creating tamper evidence seals. Touch those screws, face court-martial. But the machinist sees what naval engineers refuse to acknowledge. He's examined dozens of returned contact exploders, noting the same pattern of failure. The steel firing pins deform under impact, jamming within their guides and failing to trigger detonation. His moment of insight comes while examining the firing pin from USS Tenosa's failed attack. The steel pin shows clear deformation, mushroomed at the tip, bent within its housing. He holds it up to the light, turning it slowly. "Steel's too heavy," he mutters. "Needs to be lighter, stronger." It's an observation that should be obvious to any engineer, but the Bureau has never considered it. They designed the contact exploder for the slower Mark 10 torpedo, then adapted it for the much faster Mark 14 without accounting for increased impact forces. The machinist knows aluminum alloy would solve the problem, lighter than steel, but equally strong, resistant to deformation. The Navy has aluminum, but using it would require modifying the exploder design. That's illegal under current regulations. He looks around the shop, noting piles of returned torpedoes, frustrated colleagues, patrol reports documenting failed missions. American submarines are dying because their weapons don't work. For a craftsman who spent his life making things work, the choice is clear. September 15th, 1943, 2300 hours, Pearl Harbor submarine base. The torpedo shop falls silent as the evening shift ends, but the machinist remains behind. He waits until footsteps fade, then quietly unlocks a storage locker containing his prize. Pieces of a Mitsubishi A6M0 fighter shot down during Pearl Harbor and salvaged from the harbor floor. Working by flashlight, he examines the aircraft's engine components. The Japanese used high-grade aluminum alloy, lightweight, corrosion-resistant, incredibly strong, perfect for his needs. He sets up his lathe in the shop's far corner, positioning it where noise won't carry. He's about to commit what the Navy considers a serious offense, unauthorized modification of ordnance equipment. He's also about to save thousands of American lives. He begins with careful measurements of the original steel firing pin, noting dimensions, weight, spring specifications. Then he starts machining the aluminum alloy, shaping it to match the original, but with subtle improvements. The new pin is 30% lighter than steel, but maintains the same strength. Hour by hour, he crafts new components, firing pins, springs, guide tracks, each piece precisely machined to tolerances measured in thousandths of an inch. He's not copying the original design, he's improving it, applying decades of practical knowledge to solve problems Naval Academy engineers missed. By dawn, he's completed his first prototype contact exploder. The machinist waits until morning shift arrives, then approaches Chief Thompson with his unauthorized creation. Thompson examines the modified exploder, his face showing admiration and concern. "This could work," Thompson admits, "but you've just violated about a dozen Navy regulations." "Those regulations are killing our boys," the machinist replies quietly. Thompson makes a command decision. Using his authority as shop chief, he authorizes a secret test. They select a torpedo returned from USS Muscalonga Patrol, one that had struck a Japanese cruiser without exploding. They remove the original steel firing pin and install the aluminum replacement. The test setup is crude but effective, a hydraulic press and steel plate designed to replicate forces of a torpedo striking an enemy hull at 46 knots. The original exploder had failed under these conditions 70% of the time. The modified exploder fires perfectly on the first test, and the second, and the third. Word spreads quickly through the submarine community. Chief Thompson approaches Commander Art Taylor with the results. Taylor examines the data, then the aluminum firing pin. "Where did you get the aluminum?" "Shot down Japanese fighter." Taylor's response echoes through the base. "That is illegal as hell. Do it again." October 3, 1943, Pearl Harbor Conference Room. Admiral Charles Lockwood enters carrying a manila folder that could revolutionize submarine warfare or end his career. Seated around the table are Bureau of Ordnance representatives, including Captain Ralph Christie, who's defended the Mark 114's design for 2 decades. "Gentlemen, we need to discuss the contact exploder problem," Lockwood begins. Christie's response is immediate. "There is no contact exploder problem. The issue lies with improper maintenance and poor marksmanship." Lockwood opens his folder, revealing photographs of deformed firing pins and test data from aluminum modifications. These results say otherwise. The room erupts. "This is completely unauthorized," Christie slams his fist on the table. "Your people have violated explicit orders. My people have solved a problem that's been killing American submariners for 2 years." Christie stands, his face red with fury. "Those torpedoes were designed by the finest naval engineers in the country. They've undergone extensive testing at Newport. The specifications are perfect." Then explain USS Tenosa's patrol. 15 torpedoes fired, 13 hits, 2 explosions against a stationary target. Equipment malfunction, poor maintenance, substandard training, or substandard torpedo design. The argument escalates as other Bureau representatives join Christie's defense. They cite regulations, design specifications, theoretical performance data. They question Lockwood's authority, his testing methods, even his loyalty. But Lockwood has an ace, Albert Einstein's analysis. The Bureau consulted Professor Einstein at Princeton about the firing pin problem. His conclusion: steel pins deform under high-speed impact. His recommendation: create a void between outer shell and firing mechanism. Christie's face pales. The Bureau had received Einstein's advice, but never implemented it. Considering the physicist's recommendations irrelevant, Einstein recommended structural changes we deemed unnecessary, while my machinists actually fixed the problem. The debate continues for 3 hours. Bureau representatives argue that unauthorized modifications violate chain of command, endanger standardization, could compromise safety. They demand all modified exploders be recalled and replaced. Lockwood's response is devastating. Are you ordering me to reinstall defective exploders in torpedoes that will be used against enemy targets? The question hangs in the air like smoke from a fired gun. Every man understands the implications. Ordering restoration of known defective equipment would be criminal negligence. Christie attempts one final argument. The aluminum modifications haven't undergone proper testing protocols. We don't know their long-term reliability. We know the steel versions have an 80% failure rate. The aluminum versions have passed every test. At this crucial moment, Admiral Chester Nimitz enters. As Commander-in-Chief Pacific Fleet, his word is final. The room falls silent. Gentlemen, I've reviewed the test data and patrol reports. Admiral Lockwood, your machinists have accomplished what the Bureau failed to do. They've made our torpedoes work. Christie makes one last desperate appeal. Sir, these modifications violate established procurement procedures. Nimitz cuts him off. Captain Christie, our submarines have been going to war with defective weapons for 2 years. My concern isn't procurement procedures, it's winning this war. The Admiral's decision is swift. All submarine torpedoes will be retrofitted with modified exploders immediately. Furthermore, I'm authorizing expanded production using any available aluminum sources. Christie slumps in his chair, realizing his Bureau's reputation lies in ruins. 2. Decades of design work have been overturned by an unnamed machinist working with scrap metal. Call to action number 1. If this story of American ingenuity amazes you, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. We've got more incredible stories of World War II heroes whose names you've never heard. The illegal fix has become official policy. Within weeks, every submarine in the Pacific Fleet will carry torpedoes equipped with firing pins machined from enemy aircraft. November 8, 1943. USS Sculpin, 200 miles northeast of the Gilbert Islands. Commander Fred Conaway peers through his periscope at every submarine commander's dream, a Japanese aircraft carrier steaming directly toward his position. The Zui Kakaku, veteran of Pearl Harbor and Coral Sea, cuts through Pacific swells with destroyer escorts, unaware of the American submarine lying in wait. Battle stations, torpedo, Conaway orders quietly. What makes this moment different is the confidence radiating through Sculpin's torpedo room. For the first time in the war, American submariners are loading weapons they trust completely. Each Mark 14 carries a contact exploder equipped with the machinist's aluminum firing pin. Testing data has been remarkable, 94% reliability under all impact conditions compared to the original 20% success rate of steel components. Torpedo room ready, sir, reports Chief Torpedo Man Jake Morrison. All 6 tubes loaded with modified fish. The aluminum exploders underwent intensive testing throughout October. At Kahulawi Island, Commander Art Taylor supervised dozens of test firings against steel targets. Results exceeded all expectations. Aluminum pins fired consistently and showed no deformation after repeated impacts. More importantly, the new exploders performed flawlessly at exact impact angles that had caused previous failures. The perpendicular hits that frustrated USS Tinosa now resulted in devastating explosions. Range 120 yards and closing. Target speed 12 knots. Conaway calculates the firing solution with mathematical precision. Unlike previous attacks where commanders had to account for a torpedo unreliability, he can now focus entirely on navigation and timing. Fire 1, Fire 2, Fire 3. The torpedoes streak toward Zuikaku with deadly precision. Their aluminum firing pins machined from Japanese aircraft remains are about to exact terrible revenge. The first torpedo strikes the carrier's port side amidships. The aluminum pin fires instantly upon impact, detonating 680 lbs of Torpex explosive. A massive fireball erupts from Zuikaku's hull, sending debris hundreds of feet skyward. The second torpedo hits forward of the island superstructure, punching through the flight deck and exploding deep within the ship's vitals. Aviation fuel ignites in a secondary explosion, visible 20 meters away. The third torpedo strikes destroyer escort Yamagumo as she turns to investigate. The aluminum firing pin performs perfectly, breaking the destroyer's back and sending her to the bottom within 4 minutes. But the most remarkable aspect isn't the tactical success. It's the psychological transformation of the submarine crew. For 2 years, American submariners had approached targets with grim determination, tempered by knowledge their weapons might fail. Now they attack with absolute confidence. All torpedoes functioned as designed, Conaway writes in his patrol report. Contact exploders performed flawlessly. Recommend immediate implementation across all submarine commands. The success at Zuikaku represents just one victory in a broader transformation across the Pacific. American submarines equipped with modified torpedoes achieve unprecedented success rates. USS Wahoo, under Lieutenant Commander Dudley Morton, sinks 4 Japanese merchant ships in a single patrol, the same submarine that had previously watched enemy ships sail away after direct hits. USS Silversides destroys 3 cargo vessels carrying critical supplies to Japanese garrisons. USS Tang begins the patrol that will make her the most successful American submarine of the war. The kill ratio statistics tell the transformation story. Before aluminum modifications, December 1941, September 1943, torpedoes fired 114,748, enemy ships sunk 180, success rate 1.2%. After aluminum modifications, October 1943, August 1945, torpedoes fired 8,214, enemy ships sunk 198, success rate 14.6%. 6%. The Japanese response reveals the magnitude of change. Imperial Navy communications intercepted by American code reekers show growing alarm about submarine effectiveness. Rear Admiral Runosuke Kusaka writes to Naval General Staff, American submarine attacks have become devastatingly effective. Previous nuisance raids have transformed into coordinated campaigns that threaten our entire supply network. Commander Mochitura Hashimoto of I-58 observes, the American torpedoes that once failed to explode now function with terrifying reliability. Our merchant captains report that submarine attacks have become death sentences. The most telling comment comes from Captain Tamichihara. Something has changed in American torpedo technology. Their weapons now explode upon every impact. We must assume every submarine attack will be successful. The human cost to Japan becomes staggering. Monthly shipping losses, which averaged 50,000 tons during 1942-1943, skyrocket to over 300,000 tons by early 1944. Critical raw materials stop reaching Japanese factories. Food shipments to island garrisons are cut by 60%. Call to action number 2. The story gets even more incredible from here. Hit subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss how this anonymous machinist fix helped end World War II. World War II. By December 1943, American submarines are sinking Japanese ships faster than their shipyards can replace them. The Pacific War has turned decisively in America's favor, thanks to aluminum firing pins machined from enemy aircraft by a man whose name appears on no records, August 15, 1945. Emperor Hirohito's surrender broadcast echoes across Tokyo Bay as World War II officially ends. Aboard battleship Missouri, General MacArthur accepts Japan's surrender, while American submarines patrol nearby, their torpedo rooms finally equipped with weapons that work. The final statistics reveal the magnitude of one machinist's contribution. Total Japanese merchant vessels sunk, 178 ships. Total tonnage destroyed, 5,541 tons. Percentage sunk by submarines. 55% of the 214 American submarines that conducted war patrols, those equipped with aluminum firing pins, achieved success rates 15 times higher than boats carrying original steel components. A simple material change transformed the Pacific War's outcome. The most powerful testimony comes from the men who lived through the transformation. Torpedo Man First Class. Robert Ward of USS Wahoo writes to his family, I can't tell you details because of censorship, but somebody back home fixed our fish. They work now every time. Because of you, we came home. Lieutenant Commander Dan Daspet returns to Pearl Harbor in January 1944. His first action is visiting the torpedo shop where aluminum modifications were born. "I need to thank the man who fixed our exploders," Daspet tells Chief Thompson. Thompson shakes his head. He's not here anymore, transferred to another base, never left his name on any paperwork. The anonymity becomes his defining legacy, and perhaps his most profound statement. While Admiral Lockwood receives the Distinguished Service Medal, and Commander Mumson earns the Legion of Merit for solving the torpedo crisis, the man who actually engineered the solution vanishes into the shadows of history. No photographs capture his face, no service records preserve his name, no medal citations acknowledge his contribution, no newspaper articles celebrate his achievement. The machinist who saved thousands of American lives and fundamentally altered the course of the Pacific War remains officially invisible, a ghost in the machine of military bureaucracy, erased by the very system he saved. His disappearance raises haunting questions. Did the Navy deliberately suppress his identity to avoid embarrassment? Did he request anonymity to protect himself from potential court-martial? Or did he simply return to his workbench, considering the job done, never imagining that history would care? We may never know. What we do know is that while admirals posed for newsreels and engineers published technical papers, the man with grease under his fingernails and aluminum shavings in his hair slipped through the cracks of official memory. But his impact echoes far beyond wartime necessity, rippling through decades of naval engineering. Post-war analysis reveals that his aluminum firing pin design was so fundamentally sound, so elegantly simple, that it revolutionized torpedo development for generations. The Mark 48 torpedo, America's primary submarine weapon from 1972 to the present day, incorporates firing pin technology directly descended from his wartime innovation. When Soviet submarines prowled the Atlantic during the Cold War, American torpedoes with aluminum-inspired firing mechanisms stood ready. When modern Los Angeles-class and Virginia-class submarines patrol today's oceans, they carry weapons whose very DNA traces back to that anonymous Pearl Harbor workshop. Modern torpedo technicians at Naval Submarine Base New London still study these aluminum modifications as textbook examples of practical engineering excellence. The principles he discovered through trial and error now appear in classified naval engineering manuals. The original firing pins, carefully preserved behind glass in the Submarine Force Museum, stand as silent monuments to American ingenuity under impossible pressure, a reminder that sometimes the greatest innovations emerge not from laboratories, but from desperate necessity and skilled hands. The numbers tell their own story. After the aluminum modifications spread through the Pacific Fleet in late 1943, American submarine effectiveness increased by over 300%. Japanese merchant shipping losses skyrocketed. Oil tankers stopped reaching the home islands. The supply lines that sustained Japan's war machine began to crumble. By 1944, American submarines were sinking ships faster than Japanese shipyards could replace them. One anonymous machinist's illegal modification had cascading effects that helped strangle an empire. Yet the deeper lesson transcends naval warfare entirely. When institutional arrogance collides with battlefield reality, craftsmen often succeed where experts catastrophically fail. This story proves that breakthrough solutions don't always emerge from advanced degrees, official committees, or chains of command. Sometimes they come from calloused hands, clear thinking, and the moral courage to act when action is forbidden. The machinist didn't wait for permission. He didn't form a study group. He didn't request authorization through proper channels. He saw men dying because of faulty equipment, and he fixed it, period. In doing so, he exposed an uncomfortable truth that large institutions rarely acknowledge. The people closest to the problem often understand it better than the experts in distant offices. The engineers at Newport had theories. The machinist had torpedoes that wouldn't explode. The admirals had explanations. The machinist had sailors dying in the Pacific. While committees debated metallurgy and specifications, he picked up a file and started working. As one submarine veteran reflected decades later, his words heavy with hard-won wisdom, "Admirals plan battles, but machinists win wars." The man who fixed America's torpedoes never sought recognition. He never wrote a memoir or gave interviews. He never claimed credit or demanded acknowledgement. He simply did what needed to be done, then returned to the shadows of ordinary service, content to let others wear the medals. His legacy lives not in marble monuments or history textbooks, but in something far more meaningful, in every successful torpedo attack that followed his modification, in every American submariner who fired a weapon that actually worked, in every sailor who came home alive because a torpedo exploded when it was supposed to. His legacy lives in the Japanese ships that went to the bottom, their deadly cargo never reaching its destination. It lives in the shortened war, the lives saved, the families reunited. It lives in the principle that doing the right thing matters more than following the wrong rules. And perhaps most powerfully, his legacy lives in a profound truth that history too often forgets. Sometimes the most important victories belong to heroes whose names we'll never know. Sometimes the people who change the world are the ones who never asked for credit. Sometimes the greatest courage isn't charging into battle. It's quietly fixing what's broken while everyone else is busy explaining why it can't be fixed. The Machinist's aluminum firing pins still rest behind museum glass in Groton's, Connecticut. Thousands of visitors walk past them every year, rarely pausing to read the small placard explaining their significance. They look ordinary, just simple mechanical components, weathered by time and use. But in their elegant simplicity lies a reminder that progress often comes from unexpected places, that innovation sometimes requires breaking rules, and that the most important heroes are often the ones history forgets to name. And perhaps that's exactly how he would have wanted it, remembered not by name, but by the lives he saved and the difference he made when it mattered most. The torpedo crisis of World War II ended not with a committee decision or an engineering breakthrough from experts, but with an anonymous machinist who refused to accept that good men should die because of bad equipment. His name is lost. His face is forgotten. But his courage changed history, and that might be the most powerful legacy of all.